You can't replicate the feeling of what we had last week. What the guys at Red Bull and Mercedes have felt for the last 10 years must be unbelievable.
Did everyone know that we've got a quick car?
I'm Mikey Brown, Sebastian Vettel's No.1 Mechanic. He's got on well. And he got on well with everyone, not just me. And he texted me on Sunday after the race and was so happy for us to roll in on year 3 to pick up a podium, which in my opinion wasn't luck. It was a solid podium.
Yeah,
we were chasing, hunting down Merc, chasing, hunting down Ferrari. Okay, Leclerc dropped out, but
that's not luck. That's just bound to happen with Ferrari.
Anyway.
I haven't got a spanner to hold the nuts. I'm holding my finger so I can't tie it up properly. Aston Martin, Alonso's No.1 Mechanic fixing our sin. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Pitstop, the greatest podcast in the universe. We have our second guest of the season on today, and it couldn't be better timing, to be honest with you.
The timing of this one couldn't be better after last weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, Mikey Brown from Aston Martin, working with Fernando Alonso.
guys, how was it?
What timing?
What's going on, man?
Mental,
How are you?
Mental. What a roller coaster that was.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so timing couldn't be better, could it? But yeah, thanks for having me on here. It's mega.
Well, you've come straight from a podium in Bahrain to East London, where it's actually sleeting outside right now.
Yeah, freezing.
You
Yeah.
turned up covered in rain.
Yeah, coming over the other side of London was a mission, and freezing. Yeah, so
Yeah.
different to the desert last year.
Was it hot in Bahrain this weekend?
Yeah, it was. I think it was 28 to 30s, but yeah, it was warm enough.
I can't believe the timing of this, genuinely, because we were speaking before the weekend,
Yeah.
and then we've watched the first race of the season, and there's been all this hype about Aston Martin, which we definitely want to talk about. But straight off the bat, how was this weekend for you?
Yeah, it was insane. I think rolling off the testing as well, because it's a tough week, isn't it? No one can. There was a bit of hype about the car, and you can never read too much into the press. But rolling into testing, it was positive vibes coming off the shakedown and things like that. But we couldn't have expected to get a podium in the first race.
You didn't think?
No, I think you go in sort of thinking we need to push on from last year, which was 7th, wasn't it? And push on, try and get 4th or 5th, or just try and get ahead of that midfield and try and push on the top 3. But rolling into the first race and then picking up a podium, but having the pace from Friday.
Yeah.
First and second in FP1 and 2, and then rolling into FP3, and then qualifying, the Red Bulls obviously found something and had a bit of a jump. But yeah, rolling into the race, we knew we had good race pace, and to be fair, engineers and strategists, and played it calm, played it cool, and came out with a podium. And obviously Alonso had an absolute blinder. So
yeah, well, you have got like one of the best drivers in the world in your team, which is amazing to have a brand new car that's performing like that, and have someone like him in the car at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, it just gelled. He said it on the radio, didn't he? That it felt like one of the best cars he'd driven for 10 years. Yeah,
and when you're in the garage and you hear that must be great for the team.
It's great for the team. It's great for everyone back at the factory. Everyone pushes so hard over the winter, especially coming off last year's car, which was a little bit of a struggle, and we found a bit of pace towards the end of the last year. But for everyone back at the factory to hear those comments on the radio is just a massive pickup, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
For someone that's got that amount of talent,
yeah, for sure,
that amount of experience, whether it's in WEC or Dakar or whatever. To hop in your car and think it's one of the best he's driven is a nice feeling for everyone.
Did you realise, because we watched testing, did you realise in testing, did everyone know that we've got a quick car? Because you must have known before the race weekend.
You just get a feeling, don't you? The cars. It looked balanced. It looks good. I'm always a believer if a car looks good, it's generally fast.
Yeah.
I don't know. The times don't lie, do they?
No.
You never quite know what other people are doing, if they're sandbagging.
Well, that's why I say it, because we don't really understand sandbagging that much. I get you can put ballast in certain places of the car and figure it out. But that's wwhy I wanted to get an explanation, not of necessarily how you did it, if you did.
No. There was,
what cars would do.
From our point of view, there wasn't. I don't think we went in there for anything to hide. We just went in to just learn the car and try and get the baseline correct, and do as much learning as we could before we went into Bahrain. But I think other teams, what fuel load they're running. You don't know if they're pushing on their setups. You just don't know what they're testing. So you just have to get through those test days, make it reliable, and gather all that information, and then go into Bahrain as prepared as you can be. So. Yeah,
That's
and
insane.
it was good.
Do you feel like this year is completely different to last year? Because how many years you been at Aston Martin? This your second year there, or third?
No, so I've been at technically what was Force India. So
Oh yeah,
this is my
yeah.
7th season.
And you started at Force India.
Yeah. So I went through the whole Racing Point side of it, and then now we're Aston Martin for the last 3 years. So
We should
Going
take it
into
right
third year.
back. We should
Yeah, I was
take it
going to
right
say,
back
let's,
so
let's,
we can
let's not
build it
dive
out.
into this too much.
'Cause
Let's go
otherwise
all the
I'll
way
be
back.
about
So
that,
I
yeah.
want to know, I want to know your history. I want to know when you started in F1,
Yeah.
or even how you got to that point, because I know that there's a lot of mechanics that, or like aspiring mechanics that listen to our pod who want to know how to get into F1.
yeah.
Callum touched on it a little bit, but like,
Yeah.
what was your route into F1?
I think mine was that I didn't really do the whole college thing, so I had that feeling of that I wanted to get to Formula One, but back then, you know, I'm talking like probably nearly 20 years ago. Finished school at 16, and then it's like I'll eventually get to Formula One if it all aligns, but it's untouchable. Like when I was that age, it was untouchable because F1 then was just so untouchable. It was ridiculous. So
Probably even more so then, because I suppose it wasn't as much in the
it wasn't
spotlight as it is
on the
now.
social side.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
there wasn't as much spotlight, like you say. But yeah, I went and worked for a little team called Barwell Motorsport, who I say little team, are a big team now. GT cars and touring cars back then. Funnily enough, actually, we used to run Aston Martins, and I was in there like doing as a 16-year-old would, you know, do 3 days a week, wash the wheels, sweep the floor, do all those bits that motorsport you need to do in motorsport, and learned the trade, and then went on the car a little bit, then did a little bit more number 2 mechanic stuff, and then eventually got into number 1 in 2008. I think we did American Le Mans series again with Aston Martin.
And what's the big swap there when you became number 1 for the first time? Going from a number 2 to a number 1, like what would be the change in your job?
You're just in charge of the car, so you just have a full overview of what you're doing on the car. So you have your lads underneath you that are front and rear, and you know, front suspension, rear suspension. Works slightly different on GT cars than it does to Formula 1 cars, but fundamentally it's the same. It's the same sketch. You're still trying to get a car together, and you're just in charge of it before it leaves the garage to go on the circuit. But yeah, it was hard graft. The first 10 years of doing what I did was hard graft, and you know, lower formulas and trying to build your way up, and eventually you get to a point where I'd done sort of a lot of endurance races, like 24-hour races, like Le Mans and Spa 24 hours and all that sort of stuff.
How does that work? How does a 24-hour race work from a mechanic side? Because I know that the drivers will constantly change, right? You have is it 3 or 4 different drivers for a 24-hour race? Yeah. What about you? Are you just awake for fucking 24 hours straight?
Right.
Yeah, Le Mans like 39 hours up.
Wow.
Are you being serious?
Probably a little bit more. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. So say at Le Mans, you got 9 o'clock warm up on the Saturday. The race starts at 3 o'clock on the Saturday, and it finishes at 3 o'clock on the Sunday.
Blimey.
And then you've got to pack up. So it's a long time. And then you've got, if you have a smooth race, you know, tyres and fuel, with a quick brake change in between, it's a pit stop every hour. So you get a little cat nap and then do another pit stop. And it's not like Formula 1 where you have 3 people on each corner. There's only 1 person on the gun, 1 person putting the wheels on.
So you're running around the fucking...
So you're running around it.
Oh
So
my
it's full on. But it's all good experience. So from that side, you know, coming from a championship like that, you learn so much.
Yeah.
So when you come into F1, there's so many more people, there's more infrastructure. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't leave F1 now, I think. It's,
really?
Yeah, it's enjoyable.
If
You can't replicate the feeling of what we had last week.
No.
Like, if you can get that, what the guys at Red Bull and Mercedes have felt for the last 10 years must be unbelievable.
Have you felt that in your career up until this point? Have you had that feeling that you had last weekend before?
Yeah, so 2020, when we won the first race for Racing Point with Checo.
Yeah.
When we had that win round Sakir. Just an incredible feeling, you know, for everyone at the factory, for everyone at the track. All that hard work finally gets rewarded by a win, you know. It's an insane feeling.
And a little bonus maybe as well?
Oh, no.
Surely.
No. Well, yeah, sort of, but not what you guys would probably think.
How do you make the move from like
Like a
GT
crisps.
to F1 though? Did someone help you out? Did someone go, we got a job here? Or do you apply for it like you'd apply for a normal
Yeah,
job?
so I sort of sat in the workshop in my old place, and I was like, right, I need a change.
Yeah.
And I knew a couple of people. Funnily enough, who's my chief mech now, actually, he was at Force India at the time. I texted him saying, is there anything coming up? Let me know. Fine. And got a reply back saying there's potentially a front end mechanic job coming up. Send your CV in, and did. And I was 29 at the time, and I felt like am I too experienced to go back on the front end, having what I've done, or I don't know. But it's the only in to F1, because it's like, how else are you going to get in there?
Yeah.
Anyway, went for the interview. Happy days, got the job. And it was just a massive eye-opener. I'd never even looked at a single-seater in my life. It was all GT cars.
Yeah.
Run the odd LMP car and stuff, but it's all nuts and bolts, as people keep telling me. And 4 or 5 months of Checo, so straight onto a decent car.
Straight into Checo's car,
Straight onto a decent, so strapping
Massive.
him in and stuff, which was like, it's a bit of a whirlwind, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're at a Grand Prix, which is something you'd never been.
Well, these guys are, I guess, sort of like celebs. I mean, I don't know much about, you say GT4.
Yeah.
I don't know how much the drivers are, how big they are as personalities. Are they
they're
still
relatively big, but
Are they?
don't get the exposure that
That's
what it is,
Formula
yeah.
1 get. When I met Checo, I was, it's like a bit starstruck, because it's
Yeah.
been watching him for the last 10
Yeah,
years.
you've been like an F1 fan
pounding
your whole
around.
life, yeah.
Exactly. And moving on to Sebastian, I didn't really like him at the start when I was watching him when I was younger.
Really?
Because I wasn't really a Red Bull fan.
Yeah.
But having worked with him, I was to meet the guy to start with. It was like 4-time world champions.
Yeah.
And to have him in the car next was incredible. And what a guy, someone to learn off, and as a human being, he was just an absolute legend. So
Yeah, I was going to say, beyond the 4-time world champion, I think he's, I mean, we don't know him, but I bet he's a bit of a dude.
Just an absolute legend. Just what you see is what you get with him, and did his talking on the track, and so I think when I got the job on front end of Checo's, it was, I'm here now. I need to push.
Yeah.
What can happen? And when what I said earlier, like, things have to align, don't they? And then my number one at the time decided to leave, or decided to take a step back and work at the factory. And a job came up, and that was something that I went for. So and got it. So 5 months into my Formula 1 career, I was
Number 1.
then waving him out the garage.
So I was going to say that is your job, isn't it? When the guy that goes back and does that.
Yeah.
Have you ever done it and the car's crashed into one?
Well, I haven't crashed into anyone yet, but we've had a few penalties.
Because I have to admit, I don't
A few
know. I
penalties.
have to admit, from a viewer's point of view, I don't know how that person fucks it up.
Well,
Because, like, genuinely, surely you look out, you see there's no car coming, and you put it out.
But sometimes the cars are coming towards you, aren't they? You've got to judge them.
And you can't always see them. True.
Yeah.
And they fly out the garage quite quick, and you can't
that's the thing.
necessarily
Like, the garage
see.
next door to you is only 5 or 6 meters away.
True.
So when he gets off the line at silly speeds, he's suddenly on your feet. So, and also if the drivers, sometimes don't select first quick enough, or don't dump the
Shift
clutch
the blame
quick
onto the
enough,
driver. Nice.
like, come on, you give them the wave, and you think, right, I've got enough time here.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a bit tight. And obviously engineers are saying, I want to get out in a gap, or, I'd like to get behind a certain car. You've got to try and get it in that gap, haven't you?
Yeah.
And if you're not in sync with the driver, well, the driver's doing a bit of that, which usually they're not, but it can be close, but it's part of the fun, isn't it?
So is that what a lead mechanic does in every team? They're the guy that waves them out?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're the ones you see sort of walking out backwards and try not to trip over.
So you're not part of the pit crew doing the wheels and stuff anymore?
Yeah, left rear gun.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you're like double duty?
Still on that, yeah. So I'm trying to wean myself off that, but it's just a buzz, isn't it, that I don't want to give up.
Yeah.
I've been saying I'm going to leave, not do the gun for the last sort of 5 years, but I'm still doing it. So.
I think if I was doing that gun, we spoke to Cal a bit about it, but I'd be standing there like the 5 minutes before it comes in, shitting myself every time. Like, I get that you guys are so trained, you know exactly what you're doing, but that must be, would you say that's like one of the highest pressure moments?
Oh, yeah,
that
for sure.
Them
For
little
sure, yeah.
2 seconds of the whole weekend.
It's just so explosive, isn't it? You work all weekend. We spoke about this the other day, actually. You get there on a Tuesday, you work all the way till a Sunday, doing long hours. And then the only time you perform is right at the end of the week when everyone's tired. So, and you've got to be explosive for those 2 seconds or 2.5 seconds, whatever it is. So, the pressure's on, but at the same time, it's what you train for and what you get used to. But it's just a buzz, isn't it? I love it.
Bit of a military operation.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, it's good.
You say so. It kind of leads up to those like moments in the pit stop. But what about on like during like practice, on like a Friday or Saturday? Or was it Friday? Fucking hell.
Friday.
It's Friday, isn't it?
And so,
Like, so you're going out, you're testing the car, but then like something might fall off, something goes wrong, and you got to try and get it fixed quick enough before the next practice session.
Yeah.
Like that must be quite intense as well.
yeah, I think from the moment you get into the track, the pressure's on. I think, especially now, because like Formula One have condensed the time scales. Like the schedule's a lot tighter, purely to give people a bit more time away from the track, which has worked out for us. But at the same time, there's still the same amount of work to get done in a small amount of time.
Yeah.
But the pressure's always on. Like if you have an issue, for example, like that, you've just got to... So for me, it's more just about managing the guys, and I'm just lucky because my lot are just incredible. In fact, everyone on the garage floor, from a mechanic side, are just a mentor Aston Martin. You know, they're just
Really?
they're world class, and I think it's just so refreshing now. We've got a car that we can push with because they get rewarded for that. You know, all their hard work over the last few years. From a mechanic side, I can't fault any of them. They're just, you know, they make me look good.
Yeah.
You know, you're only as good as the people you've got underneath you.
Yeah.
And for sure, they are epic. So.
Do you all travel to the races together, like you and your crew?
Yeah, we're all together. So we do, depending on when you're setting up, we'll travel as a big group, which is quite nice, really. So yeah.
I can imagine like the banter, but it must be just like a football team, really, a group of lads.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's some of them that are more childish than others.
Yeah.
Which is probably me.
Are you one of them?
Oh, yeah, not so much now, but yeah, a few years ago maybe. But
didn't everyone in the garage do Movember?
Yeah,
everyone
huge.
grew them, didn't they?
Yeah, massive.
That's jokes.
There's 22,000, I think we raised.
Wow.
So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like Matt, my front ender, and Jordan on the front end on the
Matt,
other
he's
car.
the guy that was at the Aston Martin launch.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, doing the talk
Looks
with
awfully
you.
like me, but I think Crofty always gets me confused.
He does look a bit like you. To be fair.
Yeah. Not quite as good looking, but he's close. Yeah, no, he's mega. We've been together since. So when I come off the front end, he took my job.
Okay.
As a 19-year-old with not loads of experience, and now he's probably one of the best front end mechanics in the pit lane. So,
wow.
Yeah, loads of experience. Worked with obviously 3 very good drivers, and he's sort of a bit of a rock for me. So yeah, he had a big push from November. He's got some silly haircut going on at the moment, along with some of the other lads. But yeah, it's just a good cause, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a good cause. So and I think with our platform, it's just good to try and push it. And Aston Martin got fully on board.
Great.
So it's mega. It is good.
How did you find doing that talk at the Aston Martin launch? Because like it's not what I guess it's not what you normally do. Like even this must not be what you normally do.
You're not trained for it, are you? But I think for me, because I'm always talking to lots of the lads and talking to engineers and guys at the factory and stuff, I think you just sort of, it's just part of your
used to it.
Part of what you get used to.
There's probably going to be quite a lot of cameras in that garage when you go back for the next race.
Yeah,
DTS,
I mean,
yeah.
when Seb left, that was just mental.
Yeah.
You know, his last race, there was lots of media and stuff, and you got to keep your eye on the ball, haven't you? You got to try and not let that distract myself and everyone else on the car. And
has it been? Has the cameras been a bit of a distraction, like for you and the lads?
Yeah, that was quite a tough race to get through, because it was just, you know, it was just a huge media storm, wasn't it, that he was leaving, and you couldn't, trying to wave the car out, you just couldn't walk backwards for cameras. Really? So, which I guess is what it was like for Hamilton's guys when he was winning every week, and you know, it happens to everyone. But yeah, no, the launch was good. It was really, really good. So it's nice to sort of answer the questions that people
for sure
ask, you know.
I like that Aston Martin do that. I think Aston Martin really have it together with a lot of their media, a lot of the stuff they do. That's why it's cool that we work with them. Obviously, we had Dragovic on. Now we've got you.
Yeah.
You touched quickly on working with Vettel.
Yeah.
For us, that's incredible, because we joined the sport at the end of last year, so we missed Vettel's heydays, like the winning. But you were working with him in his last years in Formula One, and it looked like from your Instagram, you and him were actually really good friends.
Yeah.
So I just wondered what that was like for you, like being there in his last years of his career, working with a world champion kind of thing.
Yeah. No, he was like I said earlier, like initially when you meet him, you're like a little bit, you know, it's Sebastian Vettel and all this, but the professional head comes on, it's like, right, yep, here's the car, here's the crew. And then you just get this, we just started to build this rapport. We got a podium in Baku in 21, which sort of closed everyone up, which was nice. And I think he was just very personable. You know, he's just a normal, we're the same age by a month.
Oh,
so
okay.
We had,
how old are you guys?
35.
Right.
And we just got on well. And he got on well with everyone, not just me. And he texted me on Sunday after the race and was so happy for us, you know, which was, he didn't have to do. And, you know, it's just nice to hear from him. And
It's nice he's done that.
really nice, yeah. And sent a message and basically to me and all the boys, and
Yeah.
to say how happy he was for us, and so good to see us back up there. And
He probably wishes he stuck around for another year or something.
yeah, it's just timing, isn't it? It's just timing. But you know, he's happy. He's at home doing what he wanted to do with his kids, and
Yeah.
I think it's a nice. He ended on a good note. I think we had a good Abu Dhabi, and
Yeah.
that's motorsport, isn't it? You don't know what car you're going to get from one year to another. So
Yeah.
There's been a bit of talk around it. I know there has, because I've heard a few people talk about it. But I mean, from your point of view, someone who knows him, I mean, could you see him coming back?
I'd love to see him come back.
Would you?
Yeah.
That's really nice he sent you all the texts, because that must be quite tough, really. I'd looking back, and your team you were just at is now winning.
I think it's
No.
bittersweet, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, he's probably like, oh God, you know, that could have been me. But at the same time,
He's
he's
done
so
it.
happy for everyone, and he's
Yeah.
4-time world
And,
champion.
He's such a
he's
lovely
done
guy,
it, yeah.
isn't he?
Such a good guy.
But if he did get the opportunity to go back to Red Bull and do another year,
Red Bull.
yeah, that would be
That's making his
intense.
predictions
That would be
again.
intense. I think he'd do well.
he would do well. He would do well.
He'd probably go win it.
He's just experienced. You know, you look at Alonso. He's 41, and he's just back on a podium. So
Yeah, let's get stuck into that, because I mean, all of last year. So my history with F1 is that, I mean, I haven't really watched it at all my whole life. But when I was a kid, about 8 or 9 years old, I watched it with my dad a little bit. We went to Silverstone, and we were Schumacher fans, but Alonso won Silverstone in 2006.
Yeah.
So in the back of my mind, he was always like my second favourite. So, I mean, all of last year, all I was doing was just making these bold predictions saying, like, Alonso's going to win. And he's like, no, he's not. You're chatting shite. Obviously, he didn't win. But then this year, it looks like he actually could win a race.
he could win a race. Yeah.
So that's insane to have someone like that on your team.
Yeah, he's you know, as experienced, if not more experienced than Seb, just from an age point of view. But just to work with these guys, for myself and the guys on the car, is just like an unbelievable experience, because they bring so much to it. You know, they're just such true professionals. The way they approach their day, the way they approach their sessions, the way they just get out of the car, debrief, go through everything with the engineers, you know, and it's quite incredible to watch. And when you see what he did on Sunday, I mean, those just the overtakes he was doing, and
It's
just
I
epic,
find with
like-
Alonso, it's on and off the track though, because like you notice his driving is incredible. Like we went mad at the Hamilton battle, and
Yeah.
we're watching it like, oh my god, this guy's a joke. But then he's on the radio making comments like
like he's on a Sunday drive.
completely chilled out, like
Yeah.
he's just driving down the road.
Yeah.
Like that must be so weird for you guys in the garage.
Yeah.
You're
So we-
watching this, and he's on the radio going,
Yeah.
"Oh, nice car."
yeah, and we hear more than what you guys hear on the on the screen. But yeah, he just, I think it's like 25% of his brain is taken up by driving. The rest is just either engineering the race,
That's what they said. Yeah, that's what
working
Crofty
out
said.
what
yeah.
he's doing behind, what tyres they're on.
Because I heard him radio in. He was like, how's Lance doing? He was asking about how Lance
yeah.
was getting on, which was really cool.
Yeah,
I want to know.
he's an absolute animal as well, isn't he?
Lance,
Yeah,
yeah,
I can't believe
we'll get
that.
onto that as well. What I wanted to know about Alonso is how much of a hand did he have in like kind of helping develop this new car, if he did at all? Did he have any influence at all?
I would have thought he did, but obviously he joined so late, and obviously the 23 car would have been started sort of April, May.
Yeah.
But he did the test obviously in Abu Dhabi straight after Sebastian, which was a bit strange because obviously Sunday was Seb's car and then Sunday Alonso's in it the next day. So that was weird.
Yeah.
So he would have had a little feeling from that, and I guess would have given a load of feedback from what he felt there, and then the guys would have done something about it, whether it's suspension or ride or something like that compared to the Alpine, I guess. But
So that's not something that you yourself would be involved in?
no, because that's all engineering and DO, factory stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a fair amount to do with the reliability of it and what we think could be done quicker, and talk to the engineers. We have a good rapport with all the design office, which is really good. You know,
Yeah.
They come and ask us questions, what we think's good, what's not bad, or shall we change that or should we not change that, and what would be easier
Do
for
all
you
the parts
guys.
just turn up on race day then, and you got to put the car together pretty much?
Yeah, it's funny enough actually. Ted from Ted Kravitz, he asked me a question the other day in the pit lane. He was like, "How do you guys?" This goes for everyone down the pit lane, all the mechanics, all different teams. How do you learn the car? Like, how do you know how to build it?
Yeah.
And it's like it was actually a good question. It's like, well, you just do.
Yeah.
I think it's just because of what you do as a job, but because the cars change each year, you are constantly learning a new
Evolving,
car.
yeah.
You've only got a week of testing or 3 days of testing to learn it. So, everyone's a little bit fresh going into Bahrain and Saudi and Australia, but by the time you've stripped it 2 or 3 times, you know it inside and out.
Yeah.
So it's clever. You know, you get, and obviously all the drawings you get from the factory and stuff, there are drawings. Some don't get released in time, some do get released in time. So you're either on Teams talking to the DO and asking them questions, but the boys are so good that they just...
You trust them, you can just leave
trust
them
them. I manage them and they just do their thing. And
it's funny you say manage. I feel like your role is a bit of a managerial kind of role, which I feel like also sets you up. You know, you say you don't want to leave F1. Let's say in like 5 years' time, you maybe don't want to do the job that you're doing anymore. I mean, do you think you could take that next step up the ladder in the team that you're in to maybe become like part of the, I don't know what you want to call it, like not the principal, well, eventually principal, but...
Yeah, I think... Yeah, F1's it's a busy place, isn't it? You know, there's only 20 number ones in the world. There's only 20 front end mechanics, 20 rear end mechanics, 20 team principals, blah blah blah. So the opportunity, if it arose, amazing, and it's not something that I would shy away from. If the opportunity did come up to move up or sideways or whatever it was, I'd take it. You know, but I do love what I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it.
Great time to be doing it as well.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah.
And every year you think, should I do another year? Should I do another year? Should I do another year? You know, do I need to now settle down and have a normal life? Well, I'll just do one more. And then suddenly you get a decent car, and it's like...
Well, I saw a video of you on your Instagram, and it's a live from ages ago, and I think it's with Matt. And you're like, you might be in a hotel or something, or you're just sat there talking. And I watched it through to see what you'd say, because I thought then I could pick you up on some of it today. And the one thing I will pick you up on is you speak about like the future of Aston Martin in it. Like, I think Matt says like, oh, it's a great time to be here, and you're both just like smiling. Like, it for me watching it, I was like, these guys knew then that they were going to have a quick car. But I just feel like you knew there's a project here. You must.
Massively. Like, it's from what it was, it's incredible. Like Lawrence's and you know all the sponsors, and they have their plan of the 5 years and what we're year 3, and what they have done and achieved so far is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very difficult to bring that amount of people together and make it work.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and to roll in on year 3 to pick up a podium, which in my opinion wasn't luck. It was a solid podium.
Yeah,
you know, we were chasing, hunting down Merc, chasing, hunting down Ferrari. Okay, Leclerc dropped out, but
that's not luck. That's just bound to happen with Ferrari.
Anyway.
But yeah, it's just like the new workshop, the factory. You know, the way the team's going is it is exciting. It is exciting, and a lot of the guys, we've been there a long time. You know, there's some people that have been there 20 years.
Yeah,
and it's nice for them to be finally getting that reward. You know, it's all those hard work, those hard years of back of the grid or get the odd result, trying to scrape. But you know, going back to Force India days, we had 4th place in the championship with not loads of cash.
Yeah, what's the biggest change, like, from your end behind the scenes when an owner like Lawrence comes in who has cash, and the team obviously can get the new factory and invest, which ultimately you want every team on the grid to be able to do, so everyone's closer. What's the biggest change in the back end? Like, you've gone from Racing Point and then they've been bought out, or I don't know how it all works. But now Aston Martin have got the money. Yeah,
and you're cost capped as well, aren't you? So from the car point of view, everyone's on a sort of a level playing field.
Apart from Red Bull.
But from an infrastructure point of view, it just helps. You know, better machines, slightly more people, you know, from that side.
Nicer clothes.
Nicer clothes, yeah. You know, boss.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. We've got the Aston Martin hat up there now. It's got the Boss logo on it.
Yeah. So all new kit, new branding this year.
New car for yourself? Or?
No, not yet. No.
Aston Martin sold out.
Aston Martin DBX. Yeah, no car. But we get a Merc scheme, which is nice. But yeah, it's infrastructure, isn't it? And you can see the difference. You can massively see the difference.
Question for you, before I forget, I'm going to ask it about the carbon fibre. I need to understand the whole, on a car, I get why they don't use paint, because it's heavy or whatever, so carbon fibre. This might be so stupid, but couldn't you just make coloured carbon fibre?
I mean, I guess you could.
So that you could have like a red car or a green car.
Yeah, you can put like pigment in it, I guess. I mean, I'm not a
surely
composites
that'd be
expert,
a good way of painting it. Without
so we paint ours.
So the Aston Martin has got paint on it?
Yeah. Okay. Some nice glossy paint.
They don't all though, do they? Some teams.
I think most of them do. I think Red Bull wrap theirs. I think.
Don't
hold me to that, but
we saw something about Red Bulls and we went to a factory. They have like different paints for different races, so it looks different.
Different coloured paints.
the amount of tests that get done between weighing a paint and weighing your wrap is minimal.
But that's not your end, really, I guess.
Not
That's
really, I think. And obviously, there's areas of the car we don't paint because stone chips and making it look chipped after a race and all that sort of stuff. But it all comes down to weight fundamentally and where they want the weight. So if you paint the front end, it might help out on the weight distribution. But you know, it's a really fine line between wrapping a car and painting a car. Wrapping a car is easier to maintain because you can wrap it at a track.
I thought it'd be heavier than paint to wrap a car.
I think it's pretty close.
Yeah,
it's pretty close. And wrapping's just the technology is getting better and better and better. So I think it's getting lighter and lighter and lighter.
What about the Flow-vis paint that you put on in testing? How does that kind of work? And like, does one poor bastard have to clean that off the car?
One poor bastard being all the guys. Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah. It's just it's quite clever. So it's a liquid to start with, but as it goes through 2 or 3 turns or 5 corners, it dries. So it is really clever, and it's like a powder. It dries to like a powder.
Right.
So
it comes off quite easy.
Yeah, you just brake cleaner and wipe it off.
And then you're looking at like the way it has spread.
Yeah, you just look at the air lines. It's basically what the air does. Exactly what the air's doing. So if you have a slight bad join or something like that, you can see exactly what the air's doing around that join. So it's really clever stuff.
So from testing, did you make any mad significant changes for the car that went out and raced it? Like
no.
So the car you had in testing was the car that pretty much raced.
Yeah, basically what we launched with.
Yeah.
What we launched with.
Firmware back by that point. It's not, is it, in testing?
No, testing's free, so you can do bits and bobs and chop and cut and do all that sort of stuff. But running into the race post qualifying, as soon as qualifying's finished, as soon as qualifying starts, you're in part firmware effectively. Okay. And then you're in part firmware the whole way till the end of the race.
I saw them pushing Lance's car back at the weekend out the pit.
During quali.
Was it Lance? Yeah, was it Lance's car?
Yeah, because he missed the
Why
weighbridge.
was that?
He missed the weighbridge. So the FIA will call randomly to go on the weighbridge during qualifying just to get a weight basically.
Okay.
And the signs
they didn't trust you.
So
I saw that. Isn't it like when he was coming in? Wasn't it like right there, and he wouldn't have been able to see it in time?
It's so close.
Oh, the timing, yeah, because there was 2 lights, wasn't there? One of them was green, and then it flipped yellow straight away.
Like right there. You never would have been able to
just
do
missed
it.
that.
Yeah.
So the boys had to thrash the car back up to get the weighed, and then take it all the way back, quickly change the tyres, and I think they left the garage with like 2 minutes to go before the last run of quali. So that put them under pressure.
Yeah,
I bet.
They came back running.
How did Lance even do this weekend? Like,
he's a machine.
When you look at the video he posted yesterday of like his wrist and the X-rays and that, and then you've been in the garage with him this weekend. How has he got through that, really? Because he was in pain, and it looked like in practice he's struggling to get his wrist round, and obviously he's relaxing it and making sure he doesn't go full force. But how did he do that?
I don't really know. I mean, Alonso was saying, wasn't he, that he's his hero. And the more
coming from Alonso as well.
Yeah, the more and more I think about it, and like the more and more I watch that video that he posted the other day, because I knew he'd obviously hurt himself, and didn't really know to what extent. And then obviously he posted that video yesterday, and it was just incredible to actually see in 12 days what he's achieved.
He's got 2 pins in one of his
wrists. Got 2 pins in his right wrist.
And the toe.
He's obviously broken his toe.
Yeah.
He's hurt his left wrist. God knows what he's done to his side and whatever.
Yeah.
And then do 57 laps around Bahrain Grand Prix and get P6.
I've got to say,
it's incredible, really.
It's unbelievable.
It's incredible.
It's insane. We did 11 laps in a go-kart, and my hips were blasted, mate. And I actually felt a little bit sick afterwards. I was like, whoa, I couldn't do that for much longer. Yeah. 57 laps at like 200 mile an hour in a car like that. I mean, it must take so much toll on your body. We're not in the best shape, but we are getting fitter. But yeah, and then to do that with like 2 broken wrists and a broken toe is mad. I mean, I must admit, like, up until this point, we are new fans, and I don't think Lawrence Stroll was ever someone we really looked at too much, because he wasn't really getting in the points that much, and so we were looking at the front of the grid, the Ferraris and everything else. But it's not until you put someone like that in a good car, it makes you realise that it's a fraction of a second between all these drivers, and that he is one of the best drivers in the world. 100%.
I got a lot of time for Lawrence. His relationship with all these guys in the garage and is really good. He's just a nice guy. You know, again, sometimes he gets a bit of bad press, doesn't he? And I just don't know why, because he proves what he does on the track. For example, at the weekend, everyone's like, even the other day, you know, saying, "Oh, he's so close to touching Alonso and stuff," and that turn 3 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But if you actually rewatch the race, Alonso went wide because he was obviously trying to get the cut back,
and then carved back in.
And Lawrence was obviously trying to defend from someone who was coming up his left. So it was just that was just motorsport, and unfortunately they touched due to the fact they were both on the same bit of track.
Did Alonso touch Lewis in that when he overtook him there?
They might have just touched.
Just about.
Yeah, there was no damage on the car.
No
damage.
How do you know in the garage if they touch? Can you see like a thing of the car and it like will show flash red if it's got damage?
No, there's like obviously if you have enough damage on a front wing, there's obviously all the pressure tap-ins and the aero stuff. So they'll know that if there's damage to an end plate or something. But I like Kiss is Robin's racing, isn't it? Unless you get a puncher. So that was the biggest concern the other day. Was I bet that must puncher. But pressures were good and keep going.
I mean, how much does it affect? I mean, I'm just going based off purely what we know on the driving sim here. If we damage,
which is epic, by the way.
Here we go. This is where he's going to tell you that he's amazing at driving. Really he started using the gears and he thinks he's really good at now.
We'll do a lap after this.
You want to set a lap?
Yeah.
You want to join our leaderboard?
Yeah, we'll do a lap.
Do you want to go on the leaderboard?
We had a big conversation about this,
because we were talking about this last night.
These are drivers only.
6.
Originally it was going to be drivers only, but then we thought to ourselves last night, we could just say to guests, if you want to do a lap, we will add you. But it's Austria. It's one lap round Austria.
I'll do a lap.
You fancy yourself?
Yeah.
You have to use it.
You do a bit of racing.
If you go top, that'd be amazing.
Gears and medium traction. So it's no
okay, no mean feet. Yeah, I'll give it a go.
All right.
We'll do that at the end. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, are you going to film it?
Oh yeah, it's all part of it.
Okay, well that's a different story. But
my question was like, if you break your nose cone on the game, it's almost impossible to turn around a corner. Is it quite like that?
No, it is.
In real life,
yeah, you just lose all front end. Yeah,
really.
They generate so much downforce that they just obviously squash the front of the car into the tarmac. And yeah, if you lost your front wing, that's game over.
What was the party like at the weekend?
Well, this is the thing. You know, you said we all fly together. Well, the first time I've ever flown out on a Sunday night was Sunday night.
Oh no!
So I didn't even get to celebrate. With
I was
boys.
thinking that because we know some other people that flew out on Sunday night. I was like, I hope they didn't have to fly Sunday night.
Why, how come Sunday night?
It's just the way the flights fell. But I flew back like 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. that morning. So sort of left the guys in the lurch a little bit, which I've never done before, and it didn't feel right. But yeah, I think they had a good party. I think they had a free
and they
bar
deserved it. I hope they did. Like, I hope they actually really
There was
celebrated.
lots of pictures from daylight. So I'm pretty sure they all got on the plane and just had a good sleep when they got on the plane. But they deserved it.
With the braking races, it's perfect.
They deserved
really.
it. Yeah.
Saudi Arabia next. I
Saudi.
bet the team must be buzzing for it. Like,
Yeah. Can't get there quick enough, can we? Really? So yeah, it's a different layout, isn't it? Different track. So more high speed. Let's see what the car's got. And we're not going to go into each race now thinking, we're going to get a podium. We need to keep our feet on the ground. But
also, you guys are going to keep developing, right? I think that's so important to remember. Like, Aston Martin as a brand, as a whole team, is getting bigger and better and stronger every week. So what we see now, if that's a car that can get a podium, that's how exciting it is, because you're going to be developing this car all year.
Yeah, it is exciting.
Do you think you have the upgrades to bring for the rest of this year to stay competitive?
Yes. It's an early statement, isn't it? Because you never quite know. But and everyone else gets they all increase, don't they?
Yeah.
And the thing is, Red Bull are half a second to 6/10 up the road, aren't they? So will they keep getting better, or are they going to max out? Do we keep making a little step each upgrade? Who knows?
There needs to be something that happens with Red Bull, because I mean, I'm getting a little bit bored of seeing Max out at the front. Yeah, I mean, I love the guys, like love his trainer, love Brad, like love everyone. But you want to see something. You want to see something happen a little bit.
Well, that's why it was nice having an Aston up there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like even the Mercs, how many years do we see Mercs winning?
7 or 8 years.
7 years or something. So everyone has their time, don't they?
I genuinely think that it's going to be a media storm in that garage in Saudi for you guys.
Yeah.
Because I think Aston Martin just feels like a people's team to me. Like, I get behind it. Like, it's at Silverstone. Like, it's so easy to support them, I think.
Yeah.
And especially having Fernando, everyone loves.
Yeah.
And now people have been really opened up to Lance a lot more. Before this, like, Lance hasn't had as much media or even a chance to really tell a story.
Yeah.
But now it's like we've got these two drivers, an ex-world champion and a really hungry young Lance Stroll.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Very exciting. And the team's always felt, for me, it's a proper race team. That's the feeling I get.
Yeah.
When I joined Force India at the time, it just felt like a proper race team. There wasn't loads of people, and you were just going racing on a budget and getting good results. Like, giant killing basically. And then we have now got that infrastructure, but we've still got that culture. We've still got that race team culture.
Yeah.
And that filters through the whole factory. So when you get good results, it's just more humbling because it feels more of a, I don't know, it's just got a nice feel about it.
With a family kind of grassroots.
It's a family, it feels like a family team still, which is, I hope it never loses that, because I think that's what is the main drive. I think that's why you get good results.
Do you think Lawrence has had some sort of input towards that? And what is it like working underneath Lawrence in general?
Whatever he goes into, he obviously tries to achieve the best. And he's doing it here, isn't he? So, and I think when he started, I remember him getting us all together. This was 4 or 5 years ago now, and saying he loves the culture of the team, doesn't want to lose the culture, and something that I think they've pushed. They haven't lost it. So, that's why hopefully we're on the right road.
Have you made any terrible mistakes? Like, Callum told us he left a spanner in the car when it went round.
Yeah, no, not something I've done.
In the gearbox.
No, it's not something I've done.
Nothing you haven't done anything in personally. That's messed up a race at Force India or Aston Martin or anywhere.
Nothing mechanically like that, no. I think because you just can't, can you? I don't...
Well, you'd hope not.
You just can't do it. You can't... Don't get me wrong, mistakes are made.
Yeah.
But there's certain things... The way I work with the guys is there's certain mistakes that you can't make.
And then if a mistake is made under you, because you're overwatching the team, how's that dealt with?
It'll go through me, basically, and then I'll deal with it.
You strict?
In a slightly different manner. But, I'm not that...
Crack the whip out. Come on, boys, come in the back room.
I'm not that shouty.
We asked people on Instagram, and loads of people were like, do you get fired if you put a wheel on wrong? And obviously not. Like, you'd go away and look back at a team and be like, what can we change?
Yeah, at the end of the day, everyone's human, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, you can put as many procedures in place as you like, but you can't delete human error. So, I had a wheel 2018, maybe 17. I was on the left front gun, and we were having slight issues with the wheel nuts back then, and basically a wheel nut felt... There wasn't the technology that there was now with all these different systems on the guns.
Did it fall out?
No, so I think, was it Checo? Checo was in the car. Basically gunned the nut on, but we're having issues that the nut felt tight. And back then, it was only done on feel. There was no green light system.
Yeah. It
was all done on, well, that feels good. Press your button to go green, and once there's all 4 greens, it will go. And we were having real issues that year with a nut going on tight. So you'd gun it on, feeling, okay, that felt pretty good. This is all in your brain in 2 seconds, yeah? So
I know. That's
you're like, no, that's good. Press green light. Car went. And I didn't even think anything of it. I was like, okay, it all felt good. Gets to turn 5, and it's like the wheel you just see on the telly. The wheel just went, boop.
Oh no!
And that's a rubbish feeling.
Would it actually, the wheel come off?
Didn't come off. It just dropped to the retainer.
Oh shit!
Which is meant to do. So obviously that worked.
Oh, so that's like a retainer to help it just
stops it coming off. But then obviously you got to pull over, and then it's an unsafe release, and then you get a whatever it is fine, 10 grand fine or something. Which personally I don't get, but the team get a fine, and then
sorry, Lawrence.
Yeah. So
you don't mind.
I think I had an unsafe release a couple of years ago, which was a bit tight. Sort of made the decision to send the car, and it was tight. There was no contact, but it was tight. Got another fine for that. But that's the human error part.
Yeah,
of it,
yeah.
It's got to be there. Unless the other cars are going to sit at traffic lights, there's going to be a little bit of that. And places like Monza, when you're all trying to get a tow and you're all trying to get good track position in qualifying, it's tough. I suppose that's part of the game. Like Monaco's on a curve, so depending on where you are in the pit lane, if you're releasing a car, sometimes you can't even see around the bend. Yeah. So it's a fraction of a second that suddenly there's a car that's come around the bend, and you're giving him the go. Like,
can you stop them if they've half come out?
Yeah, you can stop them, but usually they're eyes down, aren't they? And at Monaco, there's just the arm code. There's no there's just the 2 tiny little lanes. One's
I can't
full
believe
of
the
pit
Monaco
booms.
pit.
It's tiny.
It's like tiny. Off that straight as well.
And the
really
pits
weird.
are also closer together,
So
right?
small.
To turn in, for them to turn in, it's tighter at Monaco. And where was the other one? They've got really small pit lanes. It's Monaco.
Zandvoort's quite small.
Zandvoort,
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
And it's in a different paddock. It's like 2 paddocks, isn't it?
I know, it's separate, the garage and paddock.
Monaco is a tough weekend because it's all so tight. Like, the cars are huge now.
What track has the best garage for you as the garage? Like, where do you like to go?
Spa's
Spa?
huge. Yeah, they're massive. And Silverstone's big, to be fair, but Silverstone's got no atmosphere.
Yeah.
No atmosphere.
Not really for the paddock, because the new pits have got that massive wall. So if you're down the right-hand side of the pit lane, they've got that huge wall. So like, you look out into the pit lane and it's just a wall. So nature of the track, but Spa's Spa, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just epic.
How do you decide like which is your favourite track? Because for instance, like I was chatting to Ruth Buscombe from Alfa Romeo, and she, like Spa was like at the bottom of her list of her favourite tracks. I don't know why. She's a strategist. I don't know why
I don't
for
know
her.
why either.
But is it one of your favourite? Or how do you judge your favourite track?
Well, yeah, the boys will have me for this, but I did used to do a little bit of driving that back in the day. And
what kind of
Belgian touring car stuff?
Sick.
And in a Honda, and spent a lot of time obviously driving around Spa.
Yeah.
And I love it there. Like it's like second home. So going there with Formula 1 is even better. So yeah.
I was going to say, from your point of view, do you watch it and everything like, oh, I wish I was driving? Like there's a bit of
I think that's. I think that goes for most mechanics. I think it's funny actually, because when you mentioned karting earlier, there's so many mechanics that are so quick.
Yeah.
I thought I used to be relatively quick, and then you go karting now, and all these youngsters are coming up. Like a couple of the lads, like Jack, who works for us, he was ex-British karting champion.
Wow.
Oh really?
You know, Mercedes, Scotty, who I used to work for, was rapid. Ash, you know, they're just rapid. But they're beating the F1 drivers' times at the karting in Bahrain the other day.
I was going to say, were you racing in Bahrain?
We did the karting thing, but I didn't do it. I was my back was hurting.
Working hard.
But yeah, no, there's some quick boys, some really quick boys out there. That, you know, Jack used to race with Norris back in the day in karting, so it's just make or break, isn't it? You know, if you don't have the money, or you do have the money, or you get the good break.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because they are quick. Some of them annoyingly quick.
Yeah, I bet. You were at Racing Point when. I could be wrong here. We'll cut this bit out if I'm completely wrong. I swear, obviously, Drive Survive started filming, and Racing Point were massive in the first few seasons of it. Like they covered Checo loads.
Yeah.
And him racing. His teammate then was Ocon, right?
Yeah.
So you've worked with Checo, Ocon.
Yeah. So
Vettel.
Ocon was on the other side. So my car, I've had Checo, Vettel, Alonso. So I've been so lucky.
You have been very lucky.
That's amazing.
Yeah, ridiculous.
That is amazing.
Yeah, ridiculous. And they're all so different in their own ways. Like, they're all great to work with, but they're all just so different in their own ways.
Do you think you'd like to work with a rookie?
Yeah, I mean, any driver for me, if you get to Formula 1, they're obviously epic, aren't they? They're obviously very good.
The best of the best, yeah.
But there's just something working with ex-world champions that
you have had it as a buzz. Very good.
So lucky. Yeah.
People.
Like, don't get me wrong, it's something that I won't take for granted, for sure. And same with the boys in the car. Like, to be able to run Perez, Vettel, and Alonso.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could have said that to me 10 years ago, I just laughed.
Do you think it makes a difference, for example, if a driver is friendly with the people working on his car, do you think that would come away in race performance? Like, for example, if the people working on the car, I know everyone's as professional as they are, but if you love that guy and you want to make sure his car is the best it can be, do you think people give it that little bit more, like if you're attached to the driver?
I think so. I think you build a rapport up anyway, don't you? Because you're with them so much anyway, every weekend. And also, if you feel like you're bolting a mate into the car, everyone puts that extra little.
That's kind of what I mean, yeah.
And you want to do it for each other, but that's the same with Lance. You know, we all have the same rapport with Lance on our side of the garage than his guys. We all get on equally as well. Because
I wondered how much it cross-pollinated.
Yeah, no, it's very. That's what's good about Aston Martin as a team, and everyone is so linked in. There's no us and them. Oh, that side of the garage, this side of the garage. There's none of that. Yeah,
the crew's shared pretty much then. So
I've had my guys for a long time. The odd change, and the other side had quite a big shake up this year, but majority of everyone is still the same faces. But like Melbourne and stuff like that, it's the same with, you know, Red Bull guys. And when the shit hits the fan, and we had in Melbourne last year, we had an absolute shocker. Everyone digs deep, and without the other crew coming and helping us last year in Melbourne, we never would have got the car out of qualifying.
Okay.
So, you know, it's a team effort at the end of the day, and we've got an amazing group of people that will just dig deep. So there's no us and them, which is really nice.
Well, it's working to the timelines, like you said there, and getting the cars out for qualifying. Like, are you sat there then with, what's that like for you? You got like a 10-minute timer or something?
Yeah, so I know when we've got to be out, and then obviously I've got a Bolero, which I can talk to engineers, the guys, factory, things like that. So
do they say much, the people at the factory? Like, how much communication is coming from where?
A fair bit. Mission control, so they have a lot to say with the strategy side, what's happening with the car.
And they're listening into all the other radios and that.
Yeah,
as
they
well.
can hear. Yeah, I've got probably 4 or 5 people in my ear, which when it's all getting a bit heated, sometimes gets a little bit confusing. But yeah, if there's a shit fight, as we call it, you just have to control it, don't you? You just, at the end of the day, you can only do what you can do. Everyone's human, so. But you know that the amount of times you've done it, I suppose that's where the experience comes in. You know roughly how long things take. You know where you're at what point of the build. You know you've got 12 minutes to get out, and you know it hasn't got any pods on yet. We're still lowering the car down.
Yeah.
You know roughly where you're at, so then you can just keep the engineer updated and saying, right, we're going to be a minute. Get the tyres on, get Vettel ready. You know, tell him to get his helmet on.
Must just come naturally to you. Like, you probably don't think about it too much a lot of the time. You just do.
Not now, no. I think you just do. But the guys, again, it's like what I was saying earlier. The guys just know what they're doing. Put so much trust into them. So,
I mean, you talk about kind of being like a bit of a family in that, and you know, Seb was texting you yesterday. Whenever you said that was, oh, that's cool as shit. By the way, the fact that you can text him like that. When you do have a successful, you know, weekend and you go out and you do have a bit of a party with the lads to celebrate, do the drivers get involved? Would Seb or Fernando come out with you, and would you spend that time away from the track with them on a personal level?
Last year, obviously with Fernando now, it's obviously still quite new, isn't it? So you haven't had much time to actually spend with each other. But with Sebastian last year, we did a load of drinks things, and we went for dinner, and he took the guys for dinner, and we all had nice drinks, and you know, that was him. And Checo did exactly the same. So, you know, to bond the crew, to bond the guys, it wasn't just our crew, it was everybody.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just, oh, I'm going to take my car crew out. It was.
But I know these guys are so streamlined and focused on racing, but like, I mean, they must let their hair, they must be on the all-night benders till like 4, 5, 6 a.m. No, like,
I don't know.
Vettel letting his hairband out and like in the
I
club.
think in Abu Dhabi last year after the race, definitely that was the case. Everyone had a few beers, which
Loose.
You got loose. Yeah.
What about away from racing? What do you do? Like, do you have any like car hobbies? Do you renovate? Do you renovate a car? Upgrade a car? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I like restoring bits, like a lot of restoration stuff, like anything really, like quad bikes. I've got a motocross bike that I go out on enduro ride.
Yeah,
sick
with the boys.
But Lawrence is like, don't you dare fucking break a leg on that.
Don't fall over. Yeah, I used to climb a lot. Used to drive a bit. So yeah, I like getting in an ice bath. Do that sort of stuff.
Do ya?
Yeah, every morning.
Every morning? What's that all about?
I don't really know, but I quite enjoy it.
How long have you done that?
Before I went to Bahrain, I was about 60 odd days in.
Oh, and you've done it every day?
Every day.
God.
Yeah, and if it's not in the tub, it's in a river or a lake.
I could do that maybe.
But for mental health...
Have you found that really health,
being the job that it is, I'm going to get deep now, it is stressful and there's a lot of pressure. You know? And it's not all, you know, celebrating on a Sunday because you got a podium. There's a lot of lows, there are highs.
Yeah.
You've got to try and work out what the best way of pushing yourself to the next race is. And for me, was trying something new. These ice bath things are, you know, what's the big hype? Fell in love with it.
Really?
And felt a lot better for doing it. So, you know, the boys will have a go at me again for mentioning it, but I don't push it on them, but it's like, you know, give it a go, or why don't you try it, you know. I swear by it.
I tried the Wim Hof cold shower challenge.
It's hard, isn't it?
I tried it and I stopped.
Did you fail?
I think the problem with that is it's too easy just to turn it hot again. If you're in a cold bath, you're surrounded.
Well, I tried to gradually come down. So, you know, started it warm, did 30 seconds, would go to cold for 30 seconds. And I tell you what, I actually did feel good. I did feel good. But clearly for me, not good enough that I wanted to carry on doing it. Which is a shame, because like it clearly helped you a lot.
Yeah, I gave myself a week. And I did a week. And this was when it was like in the winter, it was like -7. I was thinking this is a great time to start.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, doing 20 seconds, 30 seconds. This is a hard road. Like day 50, you go in and do 5 minutes and not even blink. Just get in. Don't even lose your breath. It's amazing what your body can get used to. And for me, I'm just teaching myself to be basically comfortable in the uncomfortable. And I'm just trying to apply that to when I'm at work. So the pressure environments, just put yourself into that position of controlling your breathing, you know, going into a race where there's high pressure, just thinking about taking yourself back to those sort of how you feel in those moments, and it does work. You know, I was not really for it before it, but I am the proof that it does actually work. But you have to get on board with it. You know,
maybe we'll start and keep you updated while we get on.
Yeah,
day one.
Perfect day. It's perfect day today, isn't it?
Well, that's actually natural swimming down there. You can actually go swim.
Maybe I'll go in for a dive in after this.
Should we? Why don't we all go and we'll film it?
No, we'll do the sim now.
I was going to say, you got to film me on that.
Let's take it to the sim, and then we'll sit back down and end the pod. But Mikey, it's time to see whether you are quicker than Oscar Piastri, Ollie Behrman, or Felipe Dragovic. You'll probably definitely be quicker than us.
What do you reckon?
Where are you? 108.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, ours was fully.
But how many laps?
3. You get 3 practice laps, and then you get 3 real laps to record a time. Obviously, if you go invalidated, it doesn't count. Me and Jake were both automatic with no gears and full traction.
But we did that like 5 minutes before Oscar got here, so we had like one take to do it.
And what's the setting? So it's like if you run wide, is it lap invalidated?
If you go across the white line,
you're invalidated. Yeah. But you get 3 laps. To be fair to Oscar, he was doing a blinder. He was on like a 104 and on last corner invalidated by the tiniest bit, so he must be gutted.
Oh yeah, knocked 2 seconds off.
Yeah, but let's see what you can do.
Okay.
Alonso's lead mechanic fixing our sin.
Putting the guests to work, eh?
This one hasn't got a nut at all. Oh no, that's just a fucking long bolt.
It's just a long bolt.
You might as well not have it in there.
Right, 3 laps then. Let's see where he goes.
Edit it as much as you like.
Yeah, don't worry, it'll be edited.
And here we have Mikey Brown, the first ever non-professional racer to take part on the pit stop fastest lap leaderboard, going for his first lap now.
Yeah, since day one.
The pressure's on, mate.
No racing line is very impressive, honestly.
You see how he hit that yellow curb though? He knows the line, he knows what he's doing.
It's a good lap.
Already.
It's a fucking good lap, yeah. Watch him spin out the last corner.
No, he's had an ice bath this morning. Pressure's nothing.
Yeah, true.
This one invalidated, Fabs.
Oh shit, second lap invalidated. Yeah.
Pressure's on.
So I'll just bring the tyre back in now.
That's a very good one.
Comes round for the last corner of his 3rd lap at the Red Bull Ring. Go on, it's Mikey Brown. Oh,
that's good. That's good. Wow. Here we go then. Time to reveal the lap to Mikey Brown. How do you think you did?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
Considering no racing line and you use the gears, and we've got dodgy.
Medium
really.
TC, bolts missing out the pedal box.
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem. That wouldn't pass, would it? Your garage. Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. I can reveal you have beaten me.
Well, that's a start.
Yeah. You've also beaten Fab. Oh. You have beaten Fab without a racing line.
Sorry, Fab.
And Mikey, you are just behind Felipe Dragovic with a 107.
Just behind, only just a second and a half.
Only a second and a half behind.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
That is good, I think.
that's good.
Yeah, my aim was to get in the 7s, so I'm in the 7s.
But that's good because that gives our other guests something to beat now.
Yeah, 100%.
It's good to have drivers and different people on because it'll make the leaderboard way more
to be honest,
interesting.
if I could beat a current Formula 1 driver, then I'll be laughing, but it's never going to happen. So, no, I'm chuffed.
Well, Oscar did use a racing line, so did Felipe, so did Ollie.
Well, to beat Fabs and Jake, you know, that'll do. So, sorry, lads.
Well, there we have it, the second guest of the season. Very much hope you've enjoyed it. Please rate the podcast 5 stars, hit the follow button, like it, do all that stuff. Mikey, thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for setting the lap as well.
Mate,
Yeah,
decent lap.
Yeah,
decent lap,
good.
actually.
I'm excited by that.
Thanks for having me on. It's been decent, especially driving a sim with no pedals, no bolts. I reckon you had me over there, but no, it's been really good. Thanks for having me on. It's been a good laugh.
Mate, we're just looking forward to seeing how you get on with the rest of the season now. You know, we haven't got too many people that we're following, like, who aren't drivers. But, like, now, because we know you, this is going to be interesting to see you at races and watch you on TV again. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, no, it'd be mega. Let's roll on Saudi, boys, and see what we can do.
Let's have it. Aston Martin World Drivers Champions, let's go.
No, it'd be mega. But
best of luck for the season, mate. It's been great having you on. And, yeah, we'll see you around and see you on TV.
Nice one.
Just make sure when you're doing that, there's
Don't
no
crash.
cars coming, all right?
Cheers, boys. Thanks, guys.
Nice one, lad.
Cheers.
Done.